Hi there, thank you very much for watching this video. Today we're in the month of August 2024. So in this video, I'd like to demonstrate how to go about debugging an error that is to do with the reading and writing from the file system in an Android app. So here I've got the Android Studio open. And so what I found is that with this particular app, it has been working for some years now, but all of a sudden, I discovered that for some reason, it stopped writing and reading to the files on the device on the smartphone. So I'm trying to debug this issue and trying to fix this problem. And so I've spent some time already debugging and investigating into this issue. And I think the reason why it is that for some reason it was calling the get external storage directory, and then it was assigning that to a file object called SD card, and then it was trying to get the SD card dot absolute path from that, and then it was trying to create that folder in that path, and then it was trying to write to that folder. And I think that is the actual reason why it stopped working, because for some reason over these years, by using that function, it was able to read and write to the file directory whether there is an SD card or not on the actual phone. But for some reason, it looks like they have actually tightened on the actual functionality now. And so if there isn't an SD card present in the phone, then this function will stop working. So I found a workaround for that. So the workaround is not to call this method, which is to set the external storage directory, not to use that, but to use a different method instead. So I'll just explain what this fix is that I've found for this problem. So this was the earlier code here, which is that first of all, it declared a file object with the name of SD card, and then it assigned the actual external storage directory from the environment to the SD card in this line here. So that was a problem with the actual function with the code here. It wasn't working because there wasn't an SD card present. And so instead of that, what I'm doing now is that I'm using the ContextWrapper object, and I've given it the name ContextWrapper, and I've used this line here to create a new context wrapper from the application context using the get application context function here. So that creates the new context wrapper. And so using that context wrapper, I'm able to get the external files directory from the environment. So it calls the get external files directory, or the get external files dir, using the environment.directory underscore dsim as the parameter. So from that, I'm able to get the actual file path to the dsim for the phone device. And then from that, I'm able to proceed to the next line here, which creates a subdirectory underneath the dsim directory. And now that works fine because it's able to get the directory for the dsim from the environment and create a file or folder underneath that. And create a folder underneath that. And once the folder is created, it's able to read and write from that folder, that directory. And it does that by going inside that folder or that directory. We're in the read UTF external function here, and so it reads that file by using the buffered reader object, and then it writes to a string, and then it sends the actual contents of that file into a string which is called results, and then it returns the string, the result string. So that is how we get the actual contents of the file. So what I'll do now is that I'll just do a search in the main activity.java file for any other occurrence of the get external storage directory function, because that shouldn't be used if there isn't an SD card present. So that is there in this function here. So this is called the onCreate. So over here, we've found this instance of the code where it calls the get external storage directory function from the environment object. So what we want to do now, we want to replace that with the context wrapper function. So I'll just need to just comment this out by inserting the double slash, and then the date. Today's date is the 31st. Today's date is the 31st of August 2024, and so what I'll do that instead of using the SD card file object, I'll create a new context wrapper first of all, like this, and give it the name context wrapper, like that, and then instantiate it like that, and pass in the parameter get application context like that. So this instantiates the context wrapper object, and then underneath that I'll create a new file object with the name of dir1, which is the directory for the DSIM, where the DSIM is located on the smartphone. And I'll get it by calling the get external files dir method from the context wrapper that I just created in the earlier line above it. And then I'll pass in the parameter of environment.directory DSIM. We want to use the DSIM directory as the parent directory of this folder for this app. And then underneath that, I'll declare another object, which is the file object, and I call it just dir. And this will be the folder which is just underneath the DSIM folder. And it'll contain the actual title ID of this app, so we know that it'll have a unique folder name. And what I'll do is that for these lines which I've added today, I'll give today's date to indicate that these changes were made just today. And then the string variable title ID is still showing it's undeclared. So what I'll do is that I'll just declare the string with the name of title ID, and I'll get that from the actual name of the app itself. And so for that, I can use the context wrapper that I created earlier, like this, and then once again get the application info from the method of the same name, and then I can just get the name of the app like that. And then so that's now changed the color of the title ID from red to white. And so for the line which declares or retrieves the actual absolute path from the SD card variable, I can now delete this line because that's now been replaced by the line immediately above it, where we just get the absolute path, first of all, of the DCM folder, and then underneath that, the folder with the name of the app. So now I just need to search for any other instance of the use of this function with the name of get external storage directory by pressing Ctrl F and then entering the actual name of the function, get external storage. And I can press F3 just to search through the main activity.java file for any other instances of this function where it has not been commented out, and replaced by the new code where we make use of the context wrapper. So I'll just press F3 again just to make sure that there aren't any other instances of this function called get external storage directory that hasn't been commented out. So it looks like we don't inside the main activity.java file. So what I'll do now is that I'll just click on the green button to run it, to rerun again. So it'll stop the instance of the app that's running currently in the emulator and restart it with these changes. So we'll just wait for these changes to take place and for the app to restart. So there it is, now it's restarting. So I'll just go inside and see whether I can just read and write the files as before. So now if I were to click on new file, like that, so it'll create a new file. So if I were to type in something and click on save file, so I'll just enter this as a test, that's fine. And so if I click on open a file and select another file, such as the first one, number 1, so it's found that file. And so if I open the previous file again by clicking on the open file button and selecting 3, and now everything seems to be working fine. So that's about it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it useful and informative. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Until next time, have a nice day.